Richam Abuem, Agitten Erev Shabbos Kodesh, Yehil Rutz and Rafi V'Heigendl V'Neichel, have the schia to be able to be present in such a Mukim Kudish with so many parents, came out of their comfort zone to come to such a Shabbaton. We know it's not easy. By the way, the badge is a good idea to wear. People need it to be able to communicate, and also with this new thing as first-time attendee really helps. So important, if you can wear the badges, it would help everybody, including yourself. It's extremely important to understand that we, the people putting together the Shabbaton, have thought many times about the sensitivity of every person. And I have to thank the team in London, Beroisham, Yidin Moshe, and Chaim Hoffman, Yoedi Schwartz, Chaim Schreiber, Maya Rappaport, and all the women's teams, especially the teams from America that work 24 hours a day tirelessly to answer the calls and make sure the processing of everything should work out. And thanks to the videographer and the music and everybody else, and the team that helps. Shkoyach, wie heißt der Mordche that's helping you. Shkoyach for all the Bucherim that came to help. And thank you for the translator. It's the first time we have a translator that's willing to translate from English to Yiddish, Yiddish to English, the same person, the same time. So Shkoyach. So initially, the topic was supposed to be seeing Hashem in our journey. But being that I'm meeting with parents over the last 11 years, and in the last couple of weeks, I've had the schiyah to meet many parents, and on one of the occasions, more than one of the occasions, they said, "Where is Hashem?" So I had a thought yesterday when they were talking about the black box. If you remember the black box, where Reb Shimon and Shlomo Usha talk about the regular chinuch box, that you come here with that box and you have to put everything into that box of the regular chinuch, and then you take a hammer and some nails and you nail in that box and you wrap it up and you put it in the safe in the room. And now we're going to be talking about the new box about crisis chinuch, which basically means we're not giving up regular chinuch. Just to clarify, chaz v'shalom, to go away from Messiah, but the Shabbos over here is about the crisis situation that we are all in, to be able to help our child. And if the regular chinuch pops up, which will always do throughout the time, then it's going to hurt us from understanding what we really need to do and how to conduct ourselves with the child that's struggling. So this morning a thought came to my mind when I asked, "Where is Hashem?" And we're hearing drushes, we're coming here for Shabbos, this beautiful drushes prepared by the top speakers, and somehow we find ourselves by Monday completely deflated, completely feeling again, where is Hashem? So I said to myself, so what's really holding us back? You have all these chizik and all these drushes and all these medrushim and all these beautiful Torahs and proofs and mesholim, and we don't get anywhere. So what's really happening is, which I have experienced over the last 11 years speaking to parents, and including myself, the reason I believe Rav Shimon Russell is present in our Shabbatons is because I personally listened to Rav Shimon Shlita when I started out, which is speeches they did not give to parents. It was speeches that they gave to Mechanchim actually, and it was probably some other places, but not geared for kids at risk. For them, to parents, it was geared for Torah Masorah and other places like that, Eitzah, to understand struggling children. And I realized that resonates with myself. So I said to myself, so we have now a different black box. It's called our inner child. Our inner child gets awakened when we experience this trauma of these children and we start listening to drushas and we start hearing things. So besides the shame, the Yiddish guilt that we are facing on a daily basis what does the neighbor say, the shvige, the friends, the shaduchim. We have our inner child propping up and is really hurting us, saying, we also went through trauma. We didn't go off the derech, so how come they can't? And that's going to keep on popping up. So not that we should chas v'shulam give up that inner child, but somehow embrace that inner child. Which I mean to say, listen from a different way. Say to the child, listen, these people are talking to you. You finally have somebody that understands you. Reb Shimon Russell spoke to a Shabbos in Yiddish, in the Yiddish-speaking Shabbos. That's why it is before Yiddish or English. And he spoke for 2.5 hours in English to people from Kiryas Yoel, and from Square, and from Monsey, and from Williamsburg. And in the morning, on Friday morning, and I'm sure I shared it with you, I'm sure yesterday, I don't know if it came up in the speech, Elter Yid, Sidi Shid, comes over to him, and he said that Reb Shimon, yesterday by the drusha, I started crying. And I'm standing there listening to him, speaking to Reb Shimon. And Reb Shimon says, why, did I say something wrong? He said, no. The whole drusha, I'm trying to concentrate and trying to figure out what you're saying because English is not my first language. And I realized this is how my child felt all the years in Chayda. So us as parents have to realize that while we are dealing with our own children, while we are dealing with our pain for our children, these are the things that come up in us. They come up in our pain, they come up in our struggles, and then so what ends up happening, we start blaming and we start thinking that where is Hashem? So I had the opportunity a couple of weeks ago to meet with a parent, and he said, V'noichi asta punim. It's too painful. And he said to me, where's Hashem in all this? Versteht, I cried along with him. I understood where he's coming from. He has a small family. And in his way of his picture, how he felt his family should look. Should be teure gedulim b'kamei echad. All the boys and all the girls should have the same crowd, the gepayas, and the same outfits, and they should all look beautiful on the wall as we all would want it to look. And it doesn't look the way he would like it to look. So my question to him was that who sent you here? I don't advertise. I don't put anything out there. And you're here. So obviously, Hashem sent you here. Hashem is here. We can see Hashem in everything. And it's important for us to want to see Hashem in everything that we do. When I started out, it wasn't easy. We didn't have a Shemir Russell. We didn't have. Yes, Baruch Hashem, I had the schiyah to go to Krul Rebbe, and he gave us chizik, my wife and myself, and we got a lot of chizik from there. And he gave us tips and ideas of how to deal with it with our children. And after doing it for 3 years, I realized that we don't have any stars in our own personal bucket because there's nobody giving us chizik, and that's why we created these Shabbosim to give us chizik. But me listening to Rav Shimon Russell, all the drush that he said, I realized that this is what actually everybody has to hear. And so far, Baruch Hashem, we've matzliach to impact thousands and thousands of families and different areas. So where do we go from here? If we can basically realize that we are here for a purpose, everybody that came for Shabbos, which I mamish appreciate that you came. I know how hard it is. When I started out, my wife and myself started out, it wasn't easy. We came to a group meeting, and unfortunately or fortunately, we met a lot of people that we knew from before. One of my old Gilgals, I was a distributor for a company called Herbalife. Have anybody heard of them? So when I walked in there, I said there must have been something in their diet program that all the people's kids are going off of there. So I said, what's going on here? But I said to myself, what is it? It's extremely painful. So a hand to everybody here today. Give yourself a hand for having the courage to come and to be part of this Shabbos. So what I'm thinking is Azoy. I'm going to give you a couple of stories of things that I shared with people over the years that gave me chizik and the way I think and the way I live. Number one, I took my experience and right away started helping other people. So when you walk away from the Shabbos, not that you should become a person that's running around talking to everybody, but as people in this audience that actually reached out to people to come for Shabbos, when you see and hear a friend that's in this pasha, just share with them, to give them chizik, to be there, be a listening ear. You know, when I started out, I called a friend of mine, I told him about it, and it took 2 or 3 years till I finally brought him on board. But it's something that everybody here can do. Everybody can take their pain and do something with it. Turn around your pain to help others. It's something that everybody can do. You can use your new awareness of what we spoke about before. Back to the black box. Every time when you push back, but, start thinking, is it your inner child that's coming to you and saying to you, you went through something similar, something, whatever that trauma was, a car crash, bullying, or anything else that is similar to it, and you didn't go for derech, or you didn't react the way it's reacting, so why can't they shtel zu? Or shtel zi? So that's really the question. We always have that. So basically, let's break it down. You have the where's Hashem. You have the chelik of the shame and the guilt that we all feel. It's not going to go away so easy. And then you have the chelik that you feel that your inner child is pushing back, that why can't they shtel zu? And then you have on top of that, where's Hashem? So the way I look at it and the way I summed it up for myself was that actually we can take this whole journey into a healing journey for ourselves as well. If we go out there and take this experience every single time when we hear Drusha over the Shabbos, say to yourself, how does it help me? What is it here that I can use for myself? What would I want? You know, when you do meditation, when you're listening, I don't do it, but when I listen to hear other different speeches and heard sometimes why do I do meditation, especially during COVID, other ones, it's basically how you're relating to yourself, how do you relate to your inner child, and to embrace that, and to hold the child. We could actually grow from a Shabbos like this. So instead of thinking a whole Shabbos, so I'm going to use this tool for my child, I'm going to use that tool for my child, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. In my experience, all the years that I'm doing this, anytime I try doing something for a matorah, that I'm going to do this is going to be the outcome, it never worked. Never worked. So by trying it to do it for the other child, for somebody else. Reb Shimon Russell Shlita shared with me a moiridige thing yesterday. He said he met with a very choshev person, and that person said to him very clearly, an affluent person, choshev person, a person that's not a young person, that's dealing with a child that's not young, child that's struggling from a Rabbi around 20 years, and now he's coming to this professional, Reb Shimon Russell, and he wants all his answers. So he's going to come to him, he's going to say to him, give me the secret sauce, as they say. Give me the secret recipe. And he asked, can I ask you a question? Did it ever occur to you that this whole process of working with these children or with this child, it's not about the child, it's about us? And this fits right into what I want to talk about. It's about us. We're going to be sitting here a whole day, whole Shabbos, thinking of how we're going to do things to change our child. And a lot of times it's not going to work. But what I've gained, and what we are gaining, and everybody that's here in this room will meet Hashem gain at the end of the Shabbos, I'm not talking about weight, is that we will gain a new clarity about ourselves. We will gain a new clarity of what is really pushing us back, what's pushing up in the backs the whole time, that why it keeps on propping up, and why are we in pain, and what's hurting us, and what's bothering us, because that keeps on coming back. And if we can actually take this experience and grow from it, we can grow. I once had a consultation with Reb Shimon Shlita when I started out, and we spoke about I'm the oldest of the family. I had my issues with learning. I started learning actually 41 years ago here in London by Reb Shimon Dam Shlita. I didn't know a Mishnah, a Blat Gemura. Came to London in 1985, and I'm very grateful. I actually spoke 2 days ago in a small yeshiva with 13 boys. I think it was Yeshiva Mesikas HaTorah. And I started talking about my experience because I wanted to relate to the boys that are struggling. And I said, I was one of you guys. I came here as a little 14-year-old. And Baruch Hashem, Reb Shimon Damp, we had a small class, I think 11 boys. And he basically helped me to where I am right now. And he said, Reb Shimon Damp is my chavrisa. He learns with him every day, this Rosh Hashiva. So I shared with him, this is my experience starting off over here. So basically, everybody here could take these experiences, grow from the experiences. And it can be gewaldig. Your whole life will change if you can actually identify and work with where you are and where you want to be. It's not about your children. And I could tell you from experience, your children will grow from it, you will grow from it. You will, Me'ez Hashem, be matzliach if you do it that way. And I'll give you a couple of ideas, of concepts, of things that I've seen. And I spoke to parents here a couple of years ago, without mentioning names or people, and I sat, one night I came here a couple of years ago, it was an emergency appointment, sat down with a couple, and everything is Siyat D'Shmaya. They came, they sat with me for a few hours with family members, going through a pasha of children, a child that's in the system, that's from Ehrlich, everything is going on, everything is fine. And it took me 2.5 hour conversation. The father met me the other day. He said to me, I want to thank you. You met with me a couple of years ago, I want to thank you. Basically, this child today is married, successful, not exactly the way we wanted our picture on the wall to look, but I can guarantee you that if the parents wouldn't grow from this experience and they wouldn't be able to hold this child when the child was going through this struggle, the picture would not look the way it is. Because when I spoke to the parents, I thought maybe, ich weiß, they're off the derech, maybe they're wearing pants, trousers, ich weiß, or they're without that. And Baruch Hashem, she's wearing a shaitel, she's from, she's ehrlich. Like I said, maybe not exactly how we picture it should look, but this is the experience that we have. It's unbelievable when we ourselves work on ourselves, that we can change, and we can change the trajectory where it's going to be in a couple of years from now. How do we do it? We breathe, we take out time for ourselves. We're going to be so busy with this one child. Number one, we're not going to pay attention to other children. And I know many of you are here the first time, and many of you are mamish nu in the pasha. You know, when we started out, it was only parents that children would be called stage 4, out of the system, or 6 out of the 6, Rav Shimon mentioned yesterday. And basically, it sounded hopeless. We have this here, and especially thank you to Daskunim again over here, that we are bringing in parents here, that the children are lechtig. They're still wearing the levush, but innerweinig sind sie ausgeloschen. So as they say, the lights are on, there's nobody home. They've been broken by the system, they've been broken by learning trauma, by other things, by bullying and everything else, etc., which they're still wearing the levush, and it looks to everybody, as Reb Shimon says, the happiness, pleasure paradigm, they're having fun with their friends, looks like it to us, but inside them it's a bracha. Those parents that are here today have an opportunity to become the parents, to become Parents that will be there for their child and be able to embrace their child where they are, to be able to even chazik their child, and we omet Shem Sinachis. There's no question to me that that's what's going to happen. Shal is when. I once heard that the check didn't clear. It will eventually clear. The shal is when. But how do we do it? We take out time for ourselves. We're proactive in the mahalach. And I always say it like this. You have a couple. I never meet without a couple, basically. I try not to. And why is it so important to meet as a couple? If one of the two of them can't do the work. And it's important because I had it many times, and people, it causes sometimes shalom bias issues as well, and I want to take that away from you. Let's say a husband and wife. She's not a proactive person. She can't run out and go and do things. She doesn't drive a car. She doesn't go to restaurants. She can't go definitely bowling, could be. Definitely not to a theater. Certain things she can't do. It's a shaykh. She can't do it. So she will always feel that she's not really a partner in this avodah of helping save this boy. Let's use a boy for example. It's not true. When this child comes home at night and you have fresh chocolate chip cookies, or if you have something freshly made for the person, or more important, us men sometimes like to talk and not listen. We have a hard time listening. And women can listen. And this boy can open up to his mother and be able to share with his mother something that he couldn't share with his father. Especially sometimes the father is a type A personality, and before that, he was basically got a wash down for whatever he did. So why would he tell his father what he did? So the wife, the mother, has a very important role in this mahalach. So many of you are saying, I'm not going to be able to do what it's talking about here in Keshe. It's not true. Now we have sometimes the other way around. There are women that are able to go shopping and to do things with the child. They go to a spa with the child and do things with the child. And by the way, while you're doing that, take care of yourself as well. Whatever they offer, the spa or whatever you can take care of. Sometimes we can actually enjoy this journey if we try to experience it as a good journey. I'll give you an example of a story that happened to us personally. It was one winter it was called midwinter vacation, and my daughter Zang Stark was able to get a free one of these Airbnbs in Orlando, Florida, and she flew down with her kids. My wife and myself felt that she would need the help for us to go there and be there with her. And I picked myself up on a Wednesday. We flew down there, took along stuff to cook for Shabbos, and bakelach and everything else. And I'm saying to my wife, I'm in the middle of working, I'm managing a company, I'm sitting in the pool with two little einiklich a whole Friday and playing there. Says, Hashem has a good sense of humor. Where would that ever happen? It's geschehnt nicht. But if we don't want to enjoy the ride, we will never get to enjoy the moment. That's why it's called the present. Be in the present, and it's a present from Hashem. We have to see it. We mamish have to see every single time that when Hashem is there for us, it's very hard sometimes to see it. You know, we just had a journey flying out from New York to Prague, from Prague to here. How many airplanes were delayed? How many airplanes were canceled? The night before, Friday night, my flight was same flight was canceled Friday night. Our flight left on time. You start seeing Hashem and everything. Mit alle tzudas, mit alle issues, mit alle problems. It didn't change. It didn't have to change. But look at the good and everything that we have. We put on a new set of glasses. See everything for the good. One of my children got married. The new style today with getting married is after 11:30, I don't know what time it's in London, they start dancing this music with the DJ. Says 8,000 is in a club. So I had family members that were never sitting there because they have to be there for the mitzvah dance. I would have sent them home. Didn't have the guts. But they're sitting there and the lights go off, and his friend had a company with his lighting that everything starts blitzking and the whole room looks like a different room with the lights, and it's dancing together with the music and it's all synced. And they're singing Yiddish in Naginim. Ich will Hiten Shabbos, mit den Dingen, mit jenen Dingen. And it's alt Yiddish Nagina. Yeah, but they're dancing like Eindi Hidis, let's call it. So look at the difference between the way I looked at it and the way he looked at it. I said, without saying a name, die kickst it off als Chil Hashem, and ich kicked it off Kiddush Hashem. Think about it. Die kickst it off Chil Hashem, ich kicked it off Kiddush Hashem. What's the difference? These days the tanz and ich de werte. Ich sensitive kinder was want to be part of Klal Yisrael. They want to be part of what Hashem wants. They're singing Naginim, Gagiyim to the Rebbeinu Shalom, Gagiyim to Yiddishkeit. They can't do it right now, but they will do it, Mi'at Hashem. So this is what we need to do. It reminds me of a story a couple of years ago. We made Chasna B'Ruch Hashem, and my Mechtenis decided to invite my daughter with her this acquaintance. And we were not very happy about it for Shabbos. And she invited us to stay in their home. We were not very excited about it. What is my shveh going to say? What is my parents going to say? What are the mechatunim going to say? What are the brother-in-laws going to say? So we could do this for a lot of years, and we still have shame. We still have guilt. We still feel like the world is not kind to you. We could still say, "Where's Hashem?" And Reb Shimon came for the chasana, and I'm like, "What do I need this for?" It's enough that he came to the wedding, stuck out like a sore thumb, and was there the whole chasana. Couldn't even hire him, a very high, tall person. Not exactly what we envisioned our item is going to look like. And he said he's only coming to say Mazel Tov, but I guess our Yiddish chasana still looked very exciting. Stayed till after the mitzvah tanz. And now she invited him for Shabbos. So Reb Shimon was in America, and I called Reb Shimon and I said, "What do I do?" So he said, "First of all, you have to tell your parents. They cannot show up there Friday night, and he's there, and they're feeling like, what do we need this for?" So for sure, you have to let them know. Also, for sure, chas v'shalom, to tell your child that her spouse, her person, her friend is not invited. Okay? It's very, very, very important that she be there. And he explained to me at the time, I don't know if she's not pekuach nefesh or sofa pekuach nefesh, but this definitely could put a person into pekuach nefesh, knowing you're unwanted and you're not welcomed into such a Shabbaton or to such a Shabbos. But then he said something very profound, which I want to share with you. He said to me, and that gave me chizuk all Shabbos. He said, we get praise for the work we do. And he said, I'm afraid, had I not have these nisyonis, I would be a very arrogant and judgmental person. He said, take this as a gift from Hashem, that when you have these challenges, you yourself get an opportunity to change and not to judge others. It was unbelievable. It gave me chizuk a whole Shabbos. I was not upset. I was not ashamed. I was not angry. I was not nothing. I called my parents. I said, Mommy, I'm sorry, but the chulchem gai do unkim to Shabbos. And she said, well, it has to be that way. I said, Mommy, I'll be honest with you. If you feel you can't come for Shabbos, I will understand you. It wasn't easy to say it, but she accepted it. She actually came a few times to Shabbos as a grandparent, and she understands. But listen to this. Matzah Shabbos after Havdalah. Daughter says, wife, myself, the fact that you accepted him was the biggest Kiddush Hashem. This is what we go through. This is what we have to go through. It's honest yoiness. But this is what's going to bring us to where we need to be at an hour of Hayyid. I have this here. I want to switch a little bit to help others, to be there with them, to give them chizik. Let me see how long I have. A minute. So, I want to share with you. I once called the Baba Veruv during COVID, and I asked him, "Wie halt man aus? Here's so many too. At that time, there were people dying every day, more and more." He said, "We also hear chizik. You also hear from people, the tzaddikim, what kinder, Sachen gehen geht. We also see good things in ourselves. We see good things with other children. We see good things in life, and we have to identify and see them." And I had the schiyah, Baruch Hashem, to meet with parents all the time. Not always do I get a phone call that there was a change or the child got married. Not always do I get a phone call saying that because of Kesher Nashi, because of one phone call, one meeting that I had, we had the schiyah to change things. But Baruch Hashem, we do have that schiyah. And I'm going to share a few stories with you and some positive things that I've seen over the last couple of weeks, couple of months. So Baruch Hashem, I had the schiyah to get a text message from somebody. Should maybe read it, maybe not. The person said to me like this: "My son," at that time we understood that he has a Goyishe girlfriend. We were advised, or ill-advised, to cut off all our contacts with our son as long as he has a Goyishe girlfriend. We came to our Shabbos to Kesher Nafshi, and the person comes many times. And somehow Rabbi Schwartz Shlita ended up on his table, and hat ihm gehackt den Kopf an a ganzen Side, that he has to embrace his child in his home, which is the only way to get your child to be part of your family and be part of Klal Yisrael. Mamash, he didn't give up. You know, if you know Rabbi Schwartz, he doesn't give up when he gets onto something. And he did that. That caused, Baruch Hashem, that this Bucher, Yingeman, whatever you want to call him, ended up getting rid of her. Fast forward, this person sends me an invitation a few weeks ago that he's getting married. Who is he getting married to? So the Rav of the Shul filled me in last week on the story in the middle. The Rav of the Shul invited this boy to be his Gabba for the day. He said, "Trust me, I didn't need a Gabba that day. I didn't need to go to anywhere." He took him to fly out somewhere else in the United States. He said, "I did what I had to do for the day." And then I said to him, let's go air out a little bit in the mountains. Let's go to a park. Took him to a secluded area, and he started speaking to this boy. And when he spoke to him, he said, "I see that you have a lot on your mind. Would you mind sharing?" And versteht sich, if they saw Eisen Kashev, somebody's listening to them, he opened up and shared. All his pain came out. Everything that he had on his mind for so many years, felt not understood, came out. That's where the healing started. That's why I'm saying to you, Lushan Tzidkunius, Tzadikim, listen to your children. A lot of times that's the best you can do is healing, is listening to them. All that came out. When he came back to Baltimore, he said to the Rav Eichenstein Shlita, "The Rebbe doesn't need Gaboim. Why are you paying Gaboim? Whenever you need a Gabba, call me, I'll take you for free." The Rav, a couple of months later, a year later, whenever Sigevein, this boy became from Ehrlich, davening, learning, suggested, "You're an older bucher. I have an older girl that's lonely, a Beis Yaakov girl." It could still happen. A Beis Yaakov girl that is lonely, shidduch guides finished. Maybe the two of you should speak on the phone. You shouldn't meet. Just on the phone, be a listening ear for her. Now, for him, this was the greatest thing, because the first time he can open himself up, because it's not somebody he's going to ever marry. It's not somebody he's ever going to have a relationship with. He's just talking to her. And on the other hand, she felt the same way. So she opened up her struggles, he opened up his struggles, and eventually they called the Rav, says, "I have a feeling for her. Is there any way you can arrange that I meet with her?" Because he was holding to his deal. And as they say, the rest is history. I was at that chasana last week. Baruch Hashem. Ba'al tzalav samchus. Yeah. So, that's one story. I want to share with you another story, and there's a meaning behind this other story, and I want to share with you what I shared with the Bukhram yesterday, and what I shared, not yesterday, 2 days ago, and what I shared also in Ahavas Torah a couple of weeks ago, when I spoke Friday night for the Ingelat, the Bukhram there. I heard this firsthand from somebody who knows the story. There's a Bukhar with the Levish, and I'm dafka saying this story because we have many of us. The Bukhram, they're still with the Levish, and they're still part of it. The Bukhar with the Levish saw on the side of the road somebody stuck with a flat tire, and even though he's not a mechanic, and even though he's not a part of Chavayrim, Chavivim, I know I walked into a mine when I said Chavayrim, Chavivim, somebody was from a different place. Wie is Itzik? Anyway, so I didn't know in London, auch durch andere Organisations, ich weiß nicht. So, Baruch Hashem, weiß es eine, sagt, sie do eine gute Organisation, sie do noch 4 andere sollen noch machen. So geht es, Baruch Hashem. And he decided to help this person aside the road, out of the goodness of his heart. And he tried helping, every car today, the tires in a different place, and until he found it, until he changed the tire, and he helped this person with over half an hour. The person took out $1,000 and said, I want to give you this $1,000. So he said, I'm not taking any money. I did a mitzvah. I'm a chesed. I want to help somebody. And by the way, these children are the most sensitive children, and I would always trust them to help somebody. And he insisted on giving him this $1,000. He says, I'll take $100, in the geld. So at first he made it sound like he wants to give him the $100, and then he said, no, I'm giving you the $1,000, but let me share with you why. He said, I have a child that's not from, and I want you to daven for him. So I'm going to give you $1,000, not for changing the tire, to daven for my son. Okay, so he took the money. He comes home and he tells his parents, his mother in particular, Mommy, wie ist mein Tefillin? She didn't want to ask him. 3 years he didn't put on tefillin. He needs his tefillin for tomorrow morning. Okay, fine, gesundheit. So she calls up her sister, and she says to her sister, something very weird's happening. I don't know what happened, but the Shloimi Moshe Yanki Chesky wants his tefillin. I don't know why. She says, he didn't tell you? She says, no, but how do you know about it? She says, what do you think I know about it? Whenever he's hungry, he finds a home here. We don't judge him over here, which is his lifeline. One of the things I tell the boys is you find the lifeline. I tell the boys to find the lifeline. And the sister was his lifeline, the aunt. And he said, listen, he told her the story that happened. But what's the punchline? So he has to go put on tefillin. This is the sensitivity of our children, the ernstkeit, the what kind of children we're dealing with. So I want to end with a story that I heard this morning. I took the shis. Actually, I had some other things to say. Maybe I will say one more vot. I'm already gevot. But Schana Hashem ba'asi laimor. Moshe Rabbeinu is begging Hashem. He's begging Hashem that he wants to go on Eretz Yisrael. It's the Moed Gebal Tirim. And he says that the prior week, the Torah finishes, Lo Yiseruam Keni Hashem, Ki Hashem Elokaychem Hi Anilchem Lechem. Moshe Rabbeinu telling Klal Yisrael that Mashiach is going to become the Numanik. And Hashem, you shouldn't worry. Hashem will be there for them. So the Baal Tirim says that Moshe Rabbeinu, I don't have it here, this Chumash here doesn't have the Baal Tirim, but I looked it up inside, somebody told it to me, says that Moshe Rabbeinu says that the fact that I just was mechazik Klal Yisrael by saying Lo Yiseiruim, in this chis maybe Hashem is going to let me go into Eretz Yisrael. So we don't realize how much a good vot we can use sometimes to say to somebody, how much that makes a difference. I want to share with you, somebody shared with me this morning by breakfast, Amore de Gevot. I have to find it. So he said a story that he had a child that was not well. And by the way, this person I met with a couple of years ago when everything looked nice and dandy and everything was fine. And I shared with him a couple of the ideas of what looks like from my experience, from understanding what his child is going through, where it could end up. And also because of us being trained as parents of how not to react and how to be there for the child, we are, Baruch Hashem, now 3 years later, 4 years later, and the child is healthy and growing in Klal Yisrael. Maybe not from yet, maybe not exactly what we want, but we're getting there, one day at a time. His daughter's name is Chaya. And the daughter that had cancer many years ago, we didn't know if she'll be able to have children, had a child. And at that Wachtnacht, he was very, very excited. Only invited family. And versteht sich, this Chaya came to this Wachtnacht, and she wasn't exactly dressed like a Bes Yaakov girl. And he was a little bit nervous. And then on the other hand, he had another child. They asked him a question, Tati, why are you so excited? Going back to our point, where's Hashem and everything? And the girl said, you're so excited, but let me ask you a question. Maybe Hashem shouldn't have given this child cancer 20 years ago, or whatever that was. And then now you wouldn't be so excited that you already have a baby. That's how this child is. It's a normal question from a child. The father said it's a very good question. And by the way, children ask questions. They're not trying to Chaz v'sholom be apakoiris, as they say. And you have to answer them, even if you don't know. So you say it's a good question, I don't have the answer. It's very important. So he heard what they had to say. And he was very excited about this Wachtnacht because nobody thought that this child, after going through chemo and everything else, will have children at one point. And this is his first child from this child that Baruch Hashem got married. The child that got married, his name is Suri. The child that's the kid in pain, kid in crisis, struggling child, the name is Chaya. And his Mechutin says, maybe you say a couple of words, something here by the Wachtnacht. And he said, I don't know what to say, I'm speechless. He said, let's take out a Chumash. And he opens up the Chumash Parashat Vayayiru. And it says like this. Hayipula Hashem Dova. Lamoyad Ushav Alechu Ka'ais Chaya L'Suravain. Is there anything that Hashem can't do? Lamoyad Ushav Alechu. It's saying about that Hashem is telling Surah that she's going to have a child, right? Next year. But in this posuk, in our story, it comes in very, very well. Hayepulam Hashem Dova. Hashem can't do anything. He can't help us. The Skeri Rebbe's son once spoke by us by Motzei Shabbos Malka, and he said, he said that we would ask any of these children that are struggling, that if I would find some sort of a therapist, a helper, a medication, something to do, that you just go in there and you're healed a week later. Who would not pay the kind of money to be able to be healed? If I would ask parents to spend $10,000 or whatever that's going to be able to heal your child, you wouldn't try to do whatever you can to heal your child? 100%. He said, guess what? Hashem has that button to heal your child and is not pressing it. So obviously he wants us to do something about it, and he wants us to be the one doing the work. So Hashem Dova. Is there anything that Hashem cannot do? Lamoyait, at a certain time, Oshev Eilechu, which means Hashem is going to come back to him, the Novi is going to come back to him. But Oshev Eilechu means also the child will come back to us. What's the child's name? Chaya, Ka'ais Chayu. And what's the point? The Surah Vayin. I get the Shabbos.